I'm ranking every starting quarterback for the 2023-24 NFL season, starting in dead last with Baker Mayfield. The goal for all of you out there today is to try your best not to get triggered, because I'm definitely gonna ruffle some feathers today, especially with my 31st ranked QB. I know Baker has some great weapons to throw to, and it wouldn't completely shock me if you put up good numbers this season, but Baker's just one of those where I'll have to see it to believe it, which I do want to point out that I am ranking these quarterbacks and how I project them to perform next season, so bite me, because I know you're all gonna scream and moan at my 31st ranked quarterback in Anthony Richardson, and you think my rankings are completely whack, only 2 picks in. Just wait until we get closer to the end. Watching how the man threw the football at Florida, I just don't see any world where he's successful throwing the football, at least in his rookie season. And when I have these wild takes, I'll put my money where my mouth is. If Anthony Richardson wins Offensive Rookie of the Year, I will donate $500 to a charity of the top comments choosing. Not gonna go against my personal conviction on some of these guys just because some armchair quarterbacks will disagree. They might definitely disagree with my number 30 quarterback in Jordan Love. I just have not seen enough from Jordan Love to convince me he's gonna be a quality starter in the NFL, especially with the weapons that he has on offense. So not the greatest of setups around them. I just haven't seen enough of them. I will be shocked if he outperforms the guys above him on this list, which again, at number 29, you're gonna think I'm crazy for putting Desmond Ridder here. I mean, he has Drake London, Kyle Pitts to throw to. He has Bijan Robinson to hand the ball off to. If Ridder doesn't perform as good as the guys below him on this list with those weapons, he really might just not be a starting caliber quarterback, but I sort of believe in him, which I know a lot of you out there don't believe in my number 28 quarterback, Mac Jones. This really is a make or break year for Mac, and he really didn't have the best of times last season. To Mac's credit, I don't think he had the best of talent around him, and I don't think he really had the greatest of quarterback coaches. So if he can even revert to how he played as a rookie, I think that alone would catapult him on this list. But I think 28's a decent spot for Mac until he proves us otherwise. I think my 27th quarterback here is where we really get into a higher tier of things. Jimmy Garoppolo is who I have at 27. I do know 27 is still really low in a list like this, but I still at the same time feel like Jimmy G has been disrespected just because he so happened to be on some really good football teams. But as long as he's healthy and he still has Devontae Adams, Jacoby Myers, and Hunter Renfrow to throw to, I still think Jimmy G will put up pretty decent numbers. I feel like CJ Stroud at number 26 is going to be another ranking that I'm screamed at for. Don't get me wrong, I do think CJ Stroud, 2-3 years down the line, has potential to be a top 10 quarterback, but as a rookie, I just don't see it, especially with his supporting cast. Although because of his beautiful deep ball, I do think CJ Stroud is a rookie QB that could throw for a lot of yards, but at the same time wouldn't be surprised if he led the league in interceptions. So 26 is where Stroud lands for now, but again, I really wouldn't be shocked if he ended the season as a top 20 performing quarterback. Keep the disagreements coming, because at 25, I have Derek Carr. He's another guy that is super interesting because he's put up numbers in his career, but he's just really never won. And I think he gets his final chance in New Orleans, and if Michael Thomas can stay healthier than what he has the last 2 seasons, which is a really big if, I would not be surprised to see Derek Carr throw for more than 4,500 yards again. So I do think there's a chance for everything to fall into place for Derek Carr to have a monster season and to prove everybody wrong, but I'm going to stay conservative with my prediction and have him at 25. So many people are going to be triggered at 24, but 24 is where Justin Fields officially falls. This isn't fantasy projection, so bite me. He has potential again to run for 1,000 yards, but until he shows me he can be a consistent passer, which this year could be the year, I just can't put him above 24 because throwing the football, we just have not seen what we need to see. But I will admit this, if Darnell Mooney and DJ Moore and Cole Kmet all can stay healthy this season, and each of them, along with Justin Fields, takes a big step forward, I do then think Justin Fields has top 15 potential. But that's one we're going to have to wait and see. There's one name that you're probably extremely shocked that you haven't heard yet, and you're hearing it now at 23, and you're even more shocked. Yes, I have Sam Howell at 23, where a lot of people probably have him at 30, 31, 32, but just hear me out. I liked a lot of what I saw from Sam Howell at the end of last season. He had the level of composure from a rookie quarterback making their NFL debut that you very rarely, hardly ever see. Combine that with the fact he has 2 potential 1,000-yard receivers in Terry McLaurin and Jahan Dotson, not to mention Antonio Gibson out of the backfield making a ton of catches. I really have a strong personal conviction that Sam Howell in this offense is going to click and be so much better than the majority of NFL fans expect, hence why I have Sam Howell at 23. At 22, it doesn't get much better for you casuals out there. Yes, I do have Ryan Tannehill. If you want to moan and scream at me again for this one, go yourself take a deep dive into Ryan Tannehill analytics. And over the majority of the past 4 seasons, statistically, this man has been a top 10 quarterback. It's just not on the forefront of a sexy offense. The weapons that Tannehill has around him right now is so similar to the team they had around him in 2019. Just the year where, statistically speaking, he was a top 5 quarterback and led his team to the AFC Championship. So with the best collective weapons I think he's had in the past 4 seasons, along with Ryan Tannehill's sneaky running ability, don't be shocked if he ends the season as a top 15 quarterback on most people's list. And we have another potential shocker at 21 with Kenny Pickett. He's another guy that I have a very strong conviction about going into his sophomore season. With him, George Pickens, potentially Deontay Johnson, and Pat Freiermuth all taking a step forward from where they were last year, I think Kenny Pickett is the perfect potential breakout candidate. I mean, imagine that offense gets something a little extra from Calvin Austin or Allen Robinson. I mean, I really could see a 4,000 plus yard, 24 plus touchdown season from Pickett, which officially leads us into the top 20 with my pick of Brock Purdy. Purdy is a tricky one because not of how he performed on the field, I think he performed like a top half quarterback. With the back of your head, there's just a question of whether or not, was that just a fluke? I mean, he was Mr. Irrelevant. But I will go as far as saying, if he can perform just like he did in those games he started last season, over the course of a full 17-game NFL season, he really could end the season as maybe a top 12, top 10 quarterback. I'll just have to see it to believe it though. Leading us into the number 19th quarterback, peaking for the rookie quarterback class, we have Bryce Young. I cannot describe to you how much of a massive fan I am of Bryce Young. His movement in the pocket is something I have never seen before. So I am so convinced if Bryce Young can stay healthy, that's the biggest question to me. If he can stay healthy, this man, without a shadow of a doubt, has top 10 quarterback potential. And honest to God, I really could see Bryce as a rookie leading that Panthers team to a division crown. Next up at number 18, I have Russell Wilson. We all know he performed as one of the worst quarterbacks in the league last year, but this ranking is based purely on how much of a difference I think Sean Payton is going to make with Russell Wilson and that Broncos offense. Russell Wilson is too good of a quarterback. He has too good of weapons for that team not to drastically improve this year, and I think Russell Wilson's resurgence is going to be at the forefront of that. Now at number 17, we have Matthew Stafford. I think people forget just how good Matthew Stafford was just 2 seasons ago. Yes, last year was plagued by injuries. He was without his number 1 receiver all season. And yes, I know the Rams are supposed to suck, but at least statistically speaking, I think Matthew Stafford's going to have a massive year. Like, that might be the worst Sean McVay defense he's ever had. So they're going to be scored on a lot, which means Matthew Stafford is going to have to throw the football a lot. And I think he's going to throw the ball a lot more than what he's used to when he's already used to throwing the football a lot. So you can only imagine how much they're going to pass the ball this year. Like, honestly, 4,500 yards, 35 plus touchdowns wouldn't shock me. Now, at the halfway point, number 16, with a lot more crazy rankings to go, we have Deshaun Watson. And this is one that really bothers me in my brain, because Deshaun Watson just can't be as bad as he was at the end of last season forever, right? This guy used to be so good. So I think it's just a matter of time until we start seeing him at least at like 80% of what he was in Houston. But there is that thing in the back of your head that's like, what if he really is washed? What if his form at the end of the year last year is what he's got left for the rest of his career? Like, you just don't know. So I'm just gonna be conservative and play it in the middle and keep him at 16. And 2 years ago, would you have believed it that we'd have at number 15 Daniel Jones? Came out of nowhere last year to actually have a pretty good season to lead the Giants to the playoffs, and he did all that with a very, I guess, mediocre receiver core. And I could be way off on this one, way off, but if Daniel Jones can actually find Darren Waller as a number 1 receiver, I feel like this offense could be insane. Limping to number 14, we have Kyler Murray. Murray. I know the injury and everything, but at the end of the day, man, it's still Kyler Murray. It's a Cardinals team that is pretty horrible from top to bottom. If it wasn't for Kyler Murray, the team might not win a game all year. With Kyler Murray, they might scour together 5 or 6, which is saying a lot with how bad that team is. But at the same time, I do feel like it's at the point where his time is beginning to run out, but I still have the faith. Leading us into number 13, where I have my man Tua. We saw how effective he can be in that Mike McDaniels offense last season. It's again just whether or not the man can stay healthy. If Tua can stay healthy with Tyreek and Jalen Waddle, I honest to God think over a 17-game span, he has 5,000 yard potential. At number 12, we begin a run of disrespected quarterbacks, beginning with Jared Goff. I think last year what he did in Detroit was magical, but now this year I think he's gonna take that magic and transcend into Houdini, meaning I think he does perform better than what he did last year, which means I think a number 12 ranking is extremely accurate. Continuing with the disrespected quarterbacks, at number 11 we have Kirk Cousins. Just outside of the top 10, but can you really name yourself a more disrespected quarterback than Kirk Cousins? I know he hasn't won the big game yet, but very few players on this list have. So I think for sure with what Kirk Cousins has accomplished, especially in his tenure in Minnesota, I don't think you have any reason to believe he won't have another good season next year like he has the last few, which I think perfectly slots him in at 11. Finally, cracking the top 10 where things get even more insane. Number 10, Geno Smith. Imagine this time last year thinking that Geno Smith 365 days later would pretty much be a consensus top 10 QB in the league. Life is wild, brother, and this year now with the addition of JSN, I think he's gonna again take his game to another level. Moving on up in the top 10, at number 9 we have Dak Prescott. We do know last year the man had a pretty massive stinker, and I don't think he has it in him to have 2 straight seasons like that. I mean, he's too good of a player to have a bad year again like last year, right? I will say, if this year is anything like last year, he can pretty much kiss his top 10 ranking goodbye. Creeping on up at number 8, we have Aaron Rodgers, and for some reason, deep inside this soul, man, I have a feeling Aaron Rodgers is gonna be back to his best this year. He has a collective assortment of weapons in New York like he hasn't had in Green Bay in a really long time. Honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if Rodgers performed like a top 5 quarterback this year. Getting closer to the top 5, at number 7, I have Trevor Lawrence. The thing with Trevor Lawrence is that his career has really gone exactly how you want a young QB's career to go. He's gotten better each and every season, and if he gets better next year, I think he's easily a top 7 QB. Now at number 6, and this is where we're really going to start ruffling feathers, because you have about 6 guys that are pretty much all interchangeable, so inevitably I'm going to trigger a lot of people, but it is what it is. Number 6, yes, I have Justin Herbert. I understand that he's in that elite tier, but in my opinion, he still has a little bit more to prove than the guys above him, and that's really the only reason that he's number 6. He's put up great numbers, but can he win when it counts? Which finally brings us into the top 5, beginning things here at number 5 with Lamar Jackson. This is a former MVP winner that we're talking about, and a former MVP that has the best collection of weapons around him that he's probably ever had in his entire career. If Lamar stays healthy, I think again, he's a player that's going to be right up there for the MVP race. Transcending up into number 4, we have Jalen Hurts. Imagine 365 days ago saying Jalen Hurts would be a top 5 QB. I vividly remember the days when the Carson Wentz stands hated it when he got benched for Jalen. Just think about possibly wanting Carson Wentz over Jalen Hurts. I'm expecting another massive season from Jalen Hurts, and if the man can continue to get better, oh my god, dude, that MVP's gonna come. Creeping into the top 3, we have Josh Allen. I know a lot of people have Allen as their number 2, and that's fine, that's fair. Again, the only difference maker here to me just still hasn't shown that he can make it to the big game yet. I mean, the potential's there, don't get me wrong, but with number 2, Joe Burrow, at least he's shown he can make it to the championship. Joe Burrow is just so good, dude. He is just so good. He is the absolute definition of a winner. And number 1, we have Patrick Mahomes, dude. Like, what else did you expect? I don't think anyone goes into videos like this thinking they have anybody other than Patrick Mahomes at 1. Like, what do you mean? So hopefully you guys enjoyed that one and didn't get triggered too much. And if you didn't and want to watch another one, you can click right here to watch another video that I promise you won't trigger you as much as this one. It might actually make you smile.